Good evening, Lake Erie Council. You're here with Jarrod Blundy. I'm the Firelands Camp Director, and with Brittany Dunn. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Jarrod.
How are you today, Brittany?
I'm pretty good. Excited about getting started on this outdoor activity badge.
Yeah, so welcome to all of our Webelos scouts who are out there following along with us. We're going to do our Webelos den meeting for all of our Webelos and Arrow Light scouts to follow along with the scouting adventure requirements. So today we're going to be doing requirements 1, 5, and 6, and we're going to give you some resources so you can complete requirements 2, 3, and 4. But while everybody's gathering up here together, we'd like to give you a few materials to get ready with. So to participate alongside of our den meeting today, you're going to need a pen and paper, a 3-foot length of rope. And if you have a parent there with you to help out, you could get a candle and a piece of scrap paper for when we fuse the end of your rope. And then also some twine or some floss for when we do some whipping of the rope near the end. I'm going to throw those materials into our live stream here so you know what you can gather along with. But our first activity for today is to try and figure out what the first class badge means. And why are we talking about the first class badge? It's because this adventure is all about getting ready to go on to a Scouts BSA troop. And in the Scouts BSA troop, you're going to have to test your knowledge or show that you know what it means to be a scout. And one of those things is to look at the first class badge and be able to label its parts and what they mean, and know that you've done a little bit of research ahead of time so you know what you're getting yourself into. So if I switch over to my other camera here, you can see that I have some pieces of my puzzle here, and they're pieces of the Scout first class badge. And if you look into the comment section or the description of this video, you'll actually be able to see this same picture, and you can cut these out and follow along, or you can try and draw the Scout first class badge with us and try and put all the parts in the right places and then label what you think that they mean. All right, so Brittany, I think there's a very obvious first base here. I'm thinking this one right here.
I think so. I agree.
All right, so that's going to be our base, and then we're going to put on top of it. Where do you think we're going to go next?
Maybe the eagle.
Perfect. So let's put that right on here. Looks like it fits right there. Looks very scouty. And let's see, this little knot thing. I'm going to say that looks like that goes down here, right?
I think so.
Kind of hanging off the bottom?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I've still got these stars and the be prepared thing.
Let's see. The stars and the be prepared. Maybe those should go on the side of the eagle.
The 2 stars?
Yeah, try that.
All right, perfect. That's looking good. Right there. Well, I know that the be prepared isn't going to go up here. That looks a little silly.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to move my knot down a little bit further.
Oh, I think you got it.
All right, winner, chicken dinner. Cool. So we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parts of the first class badge here, right? So let's see if we can kind of guess what they mean here and explain what they mean to us. So I'm going to go with the eagle and kind of the American flag shield here first. And obviously this is very American, although the Scout fleur-de-lis sign is a world scouting thing. The American flag shield and the American bald eagle are definitely to signify that we're part of the Boy Scouts of America. But that shield is about like defending yourself, right? So we've got the American freedom and the fact that Scouts are going to defend that freedom. Now this, the fleur-de-lis here, it kind of points up, and does that remind you of any sort of tool that we use for perhaps navigating, Brittany?
Maybe a compass maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So the fleur-de-lis is in the shape and kind of points north, as we think Scouts is very navigationally inclined, but also that we have a true north on our moral compass. That means we're going to make good decisions, and we're always trying to make good decisions throughout entire lifetime. Now, there are 3 different points here on the top of the first class badge, and those relate to the 3 points of the Scout Oath, which we're going to recite here in just a few minutes. But remember, duty to self, duty to God, duty to others. So 1, 2, 3 reminds us of the 3 points of the Scout Oath. One of my favorite parts of the whole first class badge is our little scroll down here. And of course, it has the Be Prepared on it, which is what in Scouts, Brittany?
Our Scout motto.
Perfect. Scout motto, be prepared. But as a second meaning, it's not just reminding us of our motto. It's also kind of looks like a smile, right? So it's got these 2 corners that are pointing up, and it looks like a smile.
Mm-hmm.
So that reminds us to be cheerful, and that Scouts should be kind to others as well.
Ooh. I'm learning a lot of new stuff.
Absolutely.
Great ways to remember.
All right. Moving on, we have kind of 2 parts left here. We have the stars, and we have the knot, the loop that's down here at the bottom. I'm going to ask in our Facebook comments for any Scouts that are following along and joining our meeting here, if you can put in the comments what you think those 2 things mean. See if you can pull that up and follow along with you. All right. Do we have any comments left? Looks like we have 11 people watching along with us. So again, asking if you guys know what the knot with the rope at the bottom of the first class badge, or what the 2 stars in the first class badge mean.
I don't see anything yet.
I'll give them 1 more second. And I'm going to share my screen with you. So we're going to lose my view of my badge here, but we'll share the screen with you so you can see kind of what those last meanings are. Here we go. All right, so looking here, the 2 stars are for truth and knowledge in the scouting movement, and they guide us by night, of course, if we're looking up at the night sky and do some navigating that way. And they suggest a Scout's outdoor life, because if we're outdoors and we're navigating by stars, we know that we're outdoor oriented. Yes, looks like Ben Ward is on with us. Truth and knowledge, very good.
Got it.
And Ben also commented that the bottom knot at the bottom of the first class badge here is to remind us to do a good turn daily, which is the slogan of Scouts. And you know, we're going to learn to tie some knots here today, so that's a cool tie-in as well. Nice job, Ben. All right, very good. So if you are just gathering here with us now, we have started our Webelos and Aerolite Den meeting. We're doing the Scouting Adventures lesson plan for our Webelos and Aerolite Scouts to do that requirement. And we're going to do the first couple requirements, and we're going to do some knot tying and some pocket knife safety. So let me point out here the gathering list. There we are. And now let's go ahead and open up our meeting. We're going to do this the way we open most Scout meetings, and it's with the Pledge of Allegiance, the Scout Oath, and the Scout Law. But this is also part of our requirements for today. So Scouts at home, if you can say those along with us. We're also going to talk about what those mean to us in our own words. So if you can comment in the box after we're done reciting what you think the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, the Pledge, the motto, or the slogan kind of mean to you. And we'll talk about what they mean to us, but we want to hear from you guys what they mean to you as well. So let's go ahead and bring back my screen here. And behind me, of course, I have my American flag. So we can go ahead and we'll do a repeat after me, Pledge of Allegiance and Scout Oath and Scout Law. Okay, Brittany?
Okay.
All right, here we go. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Scout salute. And today I'm using my 3 fingers for the Scouts VSA sign instead of my 2 fingers for a Scout sign because we're all learning about joining the Scouts VSA troop. All right, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Now let's do the Scout oath, Scout sign. Remember, our Scout sign is with a 90-degree angle on our arm and those 3 fingers up. Scout oath. On my honor.
I will do my best.
I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. We'll keep our signs up for the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. All right. Now our meeting is officially started. I've been thinking a lot about this, Brittany, about what these things mean to me. I've been a Scout for almost my entire life since I've been 6 years old as a Tiger Scout, and they have a lot of meaning to me. So if you don't mind, if I can start with the Scout oath.
Sure, go for it.
So those first couple words, on my honor, they always have a lot of meaning to me because it's something that I really believe in. It's me pledging myself to another person, not just because I think I'm going to keep my promise as a Scout, but all the time as a person. So I'm always thinking about how I'm presenting myself in front of other people, because I know that even if I'm not wearing my Scout uniform, I'm still a Scout all the time. And my actions always reflect that. So if somebody knows that I'm a Scout, I want to reflect that really, really well on Boy Scouts of America and show that I've committed myself to the Scouting movement and to being all those things that I've pledged myself to. But even if they don't know that I'm a Scout, I want them to think, oh, well, that person's doing a really great job, and we believe that they're being a good citizen, and I want to know why. And then when they find out that I'm a Scout, it makes a lot of sense. Having that kind of honor means a lot, and I think it's something that our world needs a lot right now. Throughout history, honor was held in a high regard. You know, if you're thinking about knights and kings and queens and their kind of honor, that's something that we should have today too. We should be pledging ourselves to a higher cause, and that's the Scouting movement for me. It's kind of like giving a promise to other people, but it's something that you're promising to yourself as well. All right. Now, if you're following along at home, we'd love to hear what these things mean to you. And Brittany, if you want to talk about the Scout law, and then let's hear from our Scouts at home about the Scout motto and the slogan, if you guys can tell us what those things are, but also what they mean to you, okay?
Sure. So the Scout law, every day in my life, I think about it. You know, whatever I'm doing, you know, I ask myself questions. Is this, am I following the Scout law? Yes, no. Am I being trustworthy? And am I being brave? Am I being helpful? Or am I not following what I believe in, what we stand for? So the Scout oath, the Scout law is something I think of and I take with me throughout my everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a little question that you can ask yourself before you go do something, right?
Correct. Yeah. Should I do my homework before I play some video games? I don't know.
Depends on whether or not you're trustworthy with your parents, right?
Exactly. What did I
or
talk
if maybe you are playing video games and you're about to comment something on somebody's on how they're playing in the game, you have to remember to ask yourself beforehand, am I being kind? Am I being courteous? And as Scouts, we will always want to be those things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, looking to hear from our Scouts on the motto and the slogan. We gave a little hints on that earlier when we were putting together the first class badge. So if anybody can tell us what the motto is and what it means to them.
I think we got a lot of people doing homework this afternoon.
Could be. Let's go ahead and give it to them. So of course, the motto here is to be prepared. To the bottom of our first class badge, so we always remember. And now more than ever, we want to make sure that we're prepared for having a plan B. So this is not something that we always do, these scouting at home activities. So putting it together is something that we need to be prepared for. And while we're still kind of figuring it out, we've always had these tools in our back pocket, like these virtual meetings and being able to do some work from home and knowing how to present material in new and fresh ways. Those are ways that we can be prepared. It's hard to be prepared for everything, but we at least want to be prepared for a lot of the likely outcomes. So that's why when we go on a hike, we always bring our water bottle, a map, a compass, a way to stay in contact with people, and we've told somebody where we're going. So we're prepared in case something goes wrong, that we're going to be found, and until we are found or find our way out, that we have the materials with us necessary to be comfortable and to help ourselves. And a scout who isn't prepared wouldn't have those things with them. They may not have told anybody where they're going. They won't have a water bottle or that compass or those materials necessary. And that kind of person isn't thinking ahead. And as a scout, we want to be prepared, but think ahead for some of those likely and maybe less likely outcomes, but always have a plan B. I heard something recently, Brittany, that kind of made me chuckle. And it was that a scout master asks their scouts, how do you be prepared if we're going on a hike and then it starts to rain? And they said, well, of course, because you have your plan B. And then the scout asked the scoutmaster, well, what's plan B? And he says, it was plan A with a poncho.
That's a good one. I can't say that I haven't always prepared myself, but as I've gotten older and as I've gone along the way, it's always having a backup plan has really helped me and help others, not just myself.
Absolutely. All right, what about the slogan? That's the longer one.
So it looks like we don't have any, but if we go back to what Ben had said earlier, that do a good turn daily.
Absolutely.
So
what does that mean to you?
To me, it's always important to be helpful, to go out and do something for others, because we're citizens of our family, of our nation, of our community, and the world. So by helping others, you make somebody else's day that you may not have known was having a bad day, or surprise somebody and have a positive impact on our community and others.
Yeah, so we can be good. We can do good turns in our family, in our community, in our nation. Just always keeping that in the front of our minds that we should do good things for others. The scout was helpful, right?
Yes.
Very good. Oh, looks like Allison responded, do a good turn daily. Very good, Allison.
Yes.
So we're going to move on to our next requirement, which is to talk about scout spirit. And this is kind of another one of those things where it kind of means a little bit different thing to everybody. So we can talk about what scout spirit means to us. And then the scout sign, the salute, and the handshake, which we practiced a little bit earlier during our opening. And then we'll move on to some resources and some knot tying and stuff. Sound good?
That sounds like a plan to me.
Great. So scout spirit. Scout spirit is that thing that lives inside of you. It's what's reminding you to follow the scout oath and the scout law every day. It's something that you believe in. And if you don't believe in it, then you're probably not following the scout oath and the scout law every day. It really needs to be something that you've internalized into yourself. So when I think about scout spirit, I always think about the ways that I can show it to other people. And that might be through my good turns every day. That might be through helping somebody to make sure that they can see the scouting movement and happening and that scouting is alive. It might be showing your scout spirit very visually using your uniform or with the scout sign or the scout salute at your public gatherings, and again, showing that scouting is alive and well. But you can also do it by just following the scout oath and the scout law, by telling the truth or sticking up for other people, using your manners and saying please and thank you because the scout is curious. It's all about having that positive attitude and putting on display the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. So we can ask our folks at home how they have recently displayed Scout spirits in their homes as we do our scouting from home lately. We're all trying to be really good citizens by staying home and containing the spread of this coronavirus. But there are lots of other ways that we can show our Scout spirit. So if we can hear from our Scouts, what's one way that you've shown your Scout spirit lately, Brittany?
Let's see. Lately, I have done some volunteering a little bit for those who don't have the ability to get food in this time.
You were doing that this morning, weren't you?
I was able to go out and help hand out food to the kids in the area who depend on the food at lunch at school for basically 2 to 3 meals of their day. Sometimes it's the only meals of their day. So
yeah, that can be kind of tricky if somebody relies on that food from school, but you can't go to school. It's really cool of you, and thank you for providing that service to other people to make sure that's still something they can rely on.
Let's see.
Cool. While we're waiting for our Scouts who have shown their Scout spirit recently, we can kind of move on to the Scout sign, the Scout salute, and the handshake. And I think you're going to demonstrate those for us?
Yes. So the Scout salute and the Scout sign both start basically with our 90-degree angle, our 3 fingers up.
Perfect. On my right hand here.
Yep, your right hand. And then your thumb covers your pinky.
Okay.
And then this is the Scout sign. You scooch over. And so you've got that. And do you know what the 3 these stand for?
No, what do they stand for?
For our 3 points of Scout Oath and Law, just as like we talked about earlier. So Judy.
Yes, the 3 points of the fleur-de-lis that we showed earlier.
Yes, so everything comes back to each other. So that is a Scout sign.
Cool.
And just to change over for your salute, you just take it and you either put it about to your eyebrows or right under your hairline, and you have basically a V, and that is your salute.
So when do I use my Scout sign versus the Scout salute?
So the Scout sign is when you're doing the Scout Oath and your Scout Law.
Okay.
And then your salute is when you're doing you're saying the Pledge of Allegiance thing and like that.
Okay, so it's kind of when I'm respecting the flag, which I've got behind me here. That's when I use my Scout salute. But anytime when I'm reciting the Scout Oath or Scout Law, or if somebody calls my attention, that'd be when I use the Scout sign.
Yep, there we go.
Awesome.
And then finally, we have the Scout handshake. So our Scout handshake basically is you take your left hand.
My left hand this time.
Yeah, the left hand, not your right hand.
Okay.
Now let me see if I can get in the view. Back up a little bit. I live by myself, so I have nobody to do this to, so we'll do it virtually.
Sounds good.
Extend your hand out to the other person, your left hand, and you shake it firmly up and down. And
firmly up and down.
Yes. And it symbolizes friendship.
Oh, okay. So why my left hand instead of my right hand?
It's the nearest to your heart. So,
oh, okay. That's where that friendship thing comes from.
Yes.
You know, I've actually heard that we're kind of oddballs in America, using our right hand usually for shaking, and that all other Scouts around the world, or almost all other Scouts around the world, use their left hand.
That's interesting. Well, so when we go to like World Jamborees or things like that, we have to learn which way everybody does it a different way, I guess.
Yeah, so other countries typically use their left hand while we use our right hand, but for scouting, we always use our left hand because we're part of that scouting world movement.
There we go. Awesome.
Cool.
So now we know how to do the shake, the salute, and the sign.
Fantastic. So Scouts at home, the way that you can check off this requirement for the scouting adventures is by going through each of these things with your den leader or your parent and explaining to them what each of these points of being a scout means to you. So Allison and Ben, who have been watching along with us, you guys have been doing great. And everybody else, if you're following along live or if you're following along afterwards, just talk with your parent about what these things mean to you in your own words, and then you can check these requirements off. The next one is a little bit harder to do virtually because the next requirement is to actually visit a Scouts BSA troop in your area and participate in a meeting with them. So while we can't really show you your scouts in your area here today, because you actually want to go to their meeting and see what it's like before you join with them, we do want to show you some resources so you can find those troops in your area and reach out to them to set up a time that you can meet with them. And often this will take place with your whole den. So you can work with your den leader to do this. But if you want to reach out to your troop and kind of find out what's going on in their schedules so you can start to plan, I think that's a great idea as well, because you also want to go on an activity with them, not just a meeting. So I'm going to show you here on our council website how you can find troops that are in your area and then reach out to them to start seeing what's in their schedule. So this is our first class badge that we looked at earlier, some of the meaning of the first class badge, and these links are all shared in the description of this video. But we're gonna try and find this Scout Me In, Be a Scout page. And if you go to our council website, which is lecbsa.org, it's gonna load up here. And we make it really easy. It's this first button with the big circle around it up here on the right-hand side of the screen. So if I click on that join button, it brings me straight to beascout.org, where I can type in my zip code and look for any type of scouting in my area. And of course, we're in Cub Scouts right now, but we're going to be in Scouts BSA very soon. So I'm going to click on Scouts BSA. I live near 44212. And I'm going to click on Scouts BSA, and I'm going to click this big red Find and Apply button to see what kind of troops are in my area. You can see there's a few of them. There's Troop 513, there's Troop 517, there's a troop for girls that's coming up soon, 7517, and there's a few more, all within just a few miles.
Oh, wow.
So it's a great place for scouting right here in my area. So we want to make sure, or we want to be able to reach out to our scouting brethren from the troops to see when we can meet up with them to do their meetings. And often they're going to give a little description of where they meet and what days. So this Troop 513 meets on Thursdays from 7:30 to 9 p.m. You can request more information, or you can go to their website if they have that information up. And when you click request more information, that's usually going to give you an opportunity to reach out to the Scoutmaster.
That's fantastic. You just have to go to one place and it gives you all the information about what's available.
Exactly. So you can look for scouting units from all around the country. But it's most helpful when it's in your area. What about what's your zip code?
44004.
44044.
No, 44004.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. 44004. Find. All right, so we're in Lake Erie Council. Troop 52.
Right down the
Troop
road.
52. So one's for boys and one's for girls. Remember, that's one difference in Cub Scouting versus Scouts BSA. In the Cub Scout pack, your dens are split up by boys and girls, but the troop is split up by boys and girls in Scouts BSA.
Awesome. That's fantastic that you can see. I can't see quite as well as you. Does it say boys and girls there?
Yeah, so this top one is a girl troop, and the next one, Troop 52, is a boy troop.
So yellow and blue.
Yes.
Cool. So awesome.
So once they've visited a troop and gone to one of their meetings, they also have to go on an activity with them. So what kind of activities do we have available for our Scouts BSA and Webelos?
Well, we've got an awesome location on our council website. If you go to our calendar, you can see a bunch of activities coming up. Some of the really great ones are camporees that are council events, like our search and rescue weekends coming up. But also troops have their own camping weekends, which are great opportunities to, once you've found a couple or one that you want to check out, you see if they have something coming up. I know right now we're all a little hunkered down, but most troops plan out quite a long time in advance. So there's some opportunities once we finish up and hopefully finish up our quarantine that you can get out and have some fun and check out these different troops.
So where would they go? Obviously, when you reach out to your troop, you're going to find out what their camping opportunities are and what kind of activities they're doing on their own. But if somebody wanted to see what's going on in the Scouts BSA world from our council website, where would they go?
So do you have it on your screen right there? Yeah. Can you
I do. So here's our homepage.
So if you go to calendar, which is on the top banner up there in the middle,
right here. Got it.
There. And then once you click on that one, it'll take you to our full calendar. And once you get to the full calendar, it can seem like a lot of stuff. So you can see everything right here. However, if you want to filter it, on the top, there's Cub Scouts calendar, Scouts BSA calendar, and Young Adults calendar. So you'll probably want to go to Scouts BSA, click on that.
Perfect. Okay.
And that will filter it down to the Scouts BSA activities coming up. And then you can
obviously
on the top.
Obviously, our calendar is a little light right now as we've postponed or moved some of our events around. But that search and rescue weekend that we mentioned is coming up in May. And that is on the third full weekend of May. It's called Search and Rescue Weekend 2020. And that's out at Fireland Scout Reservation. A lot of these camporees or kind of weekend camping events are perfect times for you to hang out with your local troop and participate alongside them. Our Webelos and Arrow Light Scouts can't do everything that a Scouts BSA person can do, but there are going to be activities that you can participate with, and your troop will also often invite you to camp overnight with them. So we think these are really cool opportunities. You just have to contact the troop and get part of their registration for this event, and you'll be able to see scouting in action from a Scouts BSA standpoint.
Last.
All right, so definitely encourage you to keep an eye on that Scouts BSA calendar on our website. But again, always talk to your local troop and maybe try out a few different ones to see whose meetings work the way that you like them to work and meet on the nights that you have available. Hopefully there are a couple of them in your area that you can choose from. All right, so we're going to stop sharing this screen now. So it's back to just Brittany and I. And we're going to move on to our next requirement, which is requirement number 5. So 2, 3, and 4 are all about meeting with your local troop, participating in one of their events, and then practicing the patrol method that you learn from them. So requirement number 5 is some of those hands-on skills, learning how to tie some of the knots that you've learned, or proving that you can tie some of the knots that you learned earlier in Cub Scouts, and then how to properly take care of a rope by either whipping or fusing its ends so that they don't come unraveled. So let's start with our square knot, the most important of all scouting knots. It's that knot that shows up on your uniform and some of these awards that you can earn. Here I have my Arrow of Light, which is what you guys are working towards, and then Eagle, hopefully you guys are working towards that as well. But you see the square knot everywhere in scouting, so let's start with that one. I'm gonna switch over to my other camera here so you can see my hands as they work. Here we are. And I've got 2 different kinds of rope here because it's a little bit easier for this particular knot to see which side is which. So if I'm looking here, I've got my left rope and my right rope. And I want to take my left rope, I'm going to go left, over right, and around. Give myself a little bit more room to work with. And I started with left, so this time I'm going to go right, over left, and around. Oh, other way around. Right, over left, and around. And if I pull those 2 ends tight, you can see that there's no twisting. You can see that the ends are coming out at the top opposite ways. And it does kind of look square, doesn't it, Brittany?
Oh, yeah. Like a fancy square.
Exactly. And the beauty of the square knot is that it's easy to tie and easy to untie. And I'd love to ask in the comments if you guys know what a square knot is used for. I mean, there's lots of different uses, but what is its base use? What are you trying to do when you tie a square knot? So I'll wait for those comments here and I'll show you to tie it again. Again, you start left, you go over right and around. And now this blue rope is on the right, so I'm going to go right over left and around. Left over right, right over left, and pull it tight. Now it's easy to mistake this with another knot called the granny knot. Have you heard of that one, Brittany?
I sure have. I was really good at making those for a long time.
The granny knot looks similar to a square knot, but it's not as pretty, it's not as neat, and it's also not as strong. So sometimes if you go left over right and around, and then left over right and around, instead of switching it, you end up with not as pretty of a knot. You see how it's kind of twisting on itself, Brittany?
It's not doing what we're exactly wanting.
Yeah, so that's a granny knot, and that one pulls out pretty easily. See how it kind of slipped its way towards the end?
Not as
good.
weird.
Instead, we're going to go left over right and around, right over left and around, pull tight. Now we've got our true square knot. I haven't seen, excuse me, in the comments on what do you guys think the square knot is used for. So what do you think it's used for, Brittany?
I think it might be used for connecting two ends of a rope around something. I need it.
Yes. Yeah, so if I have these two ropes and I need to put them together to be long enough to go around something, say my cup here is like a giant tree and my poor yellow rope is just too short to go all the way around it, and I need to make it longer, I can tie it to my blue rope with the square knot to extend it into kind of one long rope. Perfect, it's for joining two ropes together. All right. Our next one is the two half hitches. And we went through these same knots last week for our Cub Scout knot session. So if you followed along, you're probably already a pro at this, so we'll move quickly through this one. But the taut line hitch is perfect for kind of a quick knot to attach the rope to, say, like a post or a fence or really anything at all that you need to attach it to. Just an easy knot that'll hold tight, but then is very easy to untie when you need it to go. And as explained in my last video, it was often used for tying horses to hitches or to hitch your horse to something. That's kind of where the term hitch comes from, because you're using a hitch to tie it to it. This is a very simple knot, very easy to tie. So if I use my rope here, I kind of have two different ends of the rope. And I'm going to call this one that has the end here the working end, because I'm going to do all the work with it. And then this long one here, the standing end, because it's just kind of going to hang out there. Now I've taken my rope and I've gone around whatever I need to hitch it to, and I'm going to tie my first half hitch just by going with the working end over the standing end and then through that hole that it makes. That's my first hitch. Now if I go over, so if I bring that working end back down the standing end and go over it again and then up through that hole I just made again, that's my second half hitch. And when I pull that together, you can kind of see here, let me try and line this up for you, that my rope is pointing out one way and on the second hitch and the other way on the first hitch. And those kind of opposite sides is what kind of holds it together. So if I pull tight, you can see that it stays. And it was very simple to tie those two half hitches.
Hey,
do you want to see that again? What's that?
I think this would be an awesome knot to know for, we have Wild Webelos weekend coming up at the end of May. It's a Western theme. So this.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, you can have a hitch off.
Exactly. I think it'd be awesome. So maybe everybody practice their two half hitches, and then we'll see who can do them the fastest. That event coming up.
All right. Well, I'm going to practice here one more time. I'm going to try and do it slow, going around whatever I'm hitching myself to, crossing over the standing end and up through that hole, and then bringing it down, going over the standing end again, and then back up through that hole one more time. 1/2 hitch, 2 half hitches. Slide that up towards whatever I'm hitching myself to, and you can see it's pulled nice and tight. All right, now for the speed round, Brittany. You ready?
Okay, on your mark, get set,
Okay.
go.
All right. Around, over, and through. And then down, over, around, and through. Ooh, going fast is hard.
13.
There it is.
13 seconds.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to practice some more before our Wild Wild Webelos weekend.
Yeah. See if you can be the what is it? The not the master. What's a Western name of the best of something?
Like the town sheriff.
Yeah, maybe the sheriff.
Sheriff's got to be good at hitching things.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to teach you one more hitch, which is the taut line hitch, and this is a really, really helpful one for when you are camping. You can use this to make any rope that you've tied kind of tighter. So you could use this for like a clothesline if you need to tighten up to hang your clothes over it after they've gotten wet in a rainstorm or something, or even use it to tie your tent stakes to your tent. And each morning, maybe once you've kind of rustled around a little bit, you need to tighten that down to make sure that your tent stays tight. You can use the taut line hitch to keep those ropes tight. And we're going to start very similar to the 2 half hitches by going around whatever we need to hitch ourselves to. So in this case, it might be my tent stake. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross over the standing end with my working end again. Here's my working end. I'm crossing over, and I'm going to go around that inside of this loop here one time, and then up around it again a second time. You see that? So I've got 1 and 2 loops around the inside before I cross over it, and then go kind of like I did for that last half hitch, around the standing rope again on the outside and up through that hole I just made. So now I've got 3 loops kind of side by side, 2 on the inside and 1 on the outside. And the neat thing about this rope is that when I pull it nice and tight, it is adjustable. So if I hold my cup here still like this and I tug on the standing end, you can see it holding tight. But if I need to make it more loose, I just pull that knot down the rope. There we are. So I can slide it up and down to whatever tightness I need. And if I pull back on the standing end again, you can see it holds tight.
Nice.
You want to see that again?
Yes, please.
All right. So I've wrapped it around whatever I'm hitching myself to. I'm going to cross over the standing end, wrap it around one time, and the second time on the inside. Cross down to the opposite side and do my last one over and then up through for that last little hitch there. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. Pull that tight. We've got our taut line hitch.
I'm gonna have to practice that.
Takes a little bit of practice, but once you've got it down, you're going to find all kinds of uses for it.
Do you have a favorite of those 3?
I would probably say the square knot, just because it's kind of fun to tie and untie. So if you just have a piece of rope like this, you can use the 2 ends and tie it together, pull, untie. I think that's just kind of fun to keep my hands busy.
Yeah, bring it with you when you're got to keep your mind focused on something, right?
Yeah, I have lots of these Zoom meetings lately, and I always have a piece of rope nearby so I can play with my hands a little bit. All right, so let's move on to the last part of this requirement number 5, which is whipping and fusing rope ends. And I've got my yellow rope here, and I want to show you You see how the ends are kind of frayed? You got the inside of it that's kind of poking out. If I leave that the way it is right now, it's going to become more and more frayed, and I'm not going to be able to use this rope like I should, because it's just going to start to lose its outer core, which is the sheath, and then the inner part is going to be more exposed. So there are a couple ways I can take care of this to try and keep the ends nice and tight and easy to work with, because these kind of floppy ends aren't very easy to tie things with. And the first one I'm going to show you is called whipping. And typically you're going to use this on a non-nylon rope. This rope is made of nylon. So you're going to use it on something that isn't nylon, say like twine or something. And you can use it, you can whip the end of the rope by using a smaller gauge rope. In this case, I'm going to kind of show you, I've got tooth floss right here. So it's very thin, very fine kind of twine here. And I'm going to use it to wrap around the end of my rope to try and keep all that fraying together and stop it from fraying further. But I know that it's kind of difficult to see with my camera here. So I'm actually going to show you a short video. It's only 3 minutes long on a really great way to whip the ends of your rope. And then I'm going to kind of do it alongside this video and kind of show you the end product. It'll be easier for everybody to see if I kind of show this video. So if I'll pull it up here. And this link is in the video description. So you can keep following along as you practice at home with this video. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Whipping is done to prevent a rope's end from fraying, especially natural fibre ropes that you can't fuse together with heat like you can on synthetic ropes. The easiest form is probably common whipping, which is the one we're going to be doing today. So to do this, we're just going to take twine today. And I want to take a bite out of this twine and just lay it on top of the rope.
You said
with
bite
the bite
there,
facing the end.
which is just...
And then if you notice, the lay of this rope is going in this direction.
It's just a loop in the end of the
I'm going to start whipping in the opposite direction, or taking my wraps in the opposite direction. So once I've laid out this bite, I'm just going to take the long end of the twine and start taking wraps. Take the wraps quite tightly and keep the wraps close together as well. Once we've taken about 4 or 5 wraps, I just want to grab this bite and then take out any of the slack that I initially had. You can see that slack getting pulled in. Take that slack out without deforming the wraps. Once you've done that, just continue with your wraps, and we'll continue until you've done about 1 to 1.5 times the rope diameter, which is about there. And then I just want to snip the end and tuck it up through that loop. And then I'm going to grab this end of the twine and just pull that loop closed. And then once I've closed it up, I want to take that little elbow and pull it right underneath the whipping here, just to make sure all these coils stay secure. So I'm just going to pull that under, and you want to try and pull it until it gets about to the middle of this whipping. You just have to sort of judge that for yourself, how far under it's gone. Then I'm just going to grab both ends, make sure it's tight, and then I just need to snip both ends off to trim it up, and that's it. That's your whipping done.
All right. So if I stop the screen sharing here, I followed along with him and I whipped the end of my rope with this this floss here. And can you see that, Brittany?
Yeah, a little fuzzy, but I can see the outlines. There we go. Better.
There we go. So by pulling that nice and tight, that's going to stop this end from fraying any further than that. Again, you can use twine, you can use floss like I did, and you can use that to keep any of your end ropes nice and tight. Now we mentioned another way to stop fraying on the ends of rope, and this one is perfect for nylon rope like this, and it's called fusing.
Mhm.
Now this is an activity that you're only going to want to do if you have a parent nearby who's there watching with you. But to fuse an end of a rope, you're going to use heat. And by heating up the ends of this nylon, it's going to start to melt together. That's what's fusing it together, is the melting. So in order to do this, you're going to need a heat source like a candle, which I've got here. You're going to need something to light your candle with. So in my case, I've got a lighter. And then finally, you're going to want something to pull the ropes, pull the melted end together and kind of stick it all together without burning myself. So I've got a piece of old newspaper here that I'm going to use to kind of squish the ends together once they're melted.
Now you don't want to use your fingers, right?
No, definitely not. Melted nylon is very, very hot, so you need to be very careful with this. So I'm going to try and actually move my camera angle here and see if you can see what's going on. That's not good. There we go. All right, so I've got my candle. I'm gonna very carefully light my candle with my parent or adult nearby. And I want to be very careful on where I hold my my rope over this, but I want it to be over the top of the flame, right where the heat's coming off. I'm not really trying to catch the end of the rope on fire, just hold it over the heat long enough that it starts to melt together. So very carefully start to do this. I know you probably can't see it very well, but the ends are starting to melt, it's starting to look a little better. They're kind of pulling together on their own.
Mm-hmm.
The end of the rope is kind of sticking out further than I would like, so I'm going to try and melt that a little bit extra. So when I pull it together with that newspaper, it kind of looks like just one end of the rope, not that I can see the inside and the outside. You can see that I'm holding the rope kind of a couple inches away from the end. I don't want my fingers anywhere near that hot melted nylon. And now that it looks really melty, kind of like this, I'm going to use my newspaper and pinch it and pull it together. And even through this newspaper, it's still quite warm. So you want a couple layers. You see I kind of folded it in half there. Blow up my candle. And here's the end product.
There.
No more fraying. It's nice and hard.
Is it smoothish?
And it's much more smooth, exactly. So I can use that end to tuck into my different knots that I'm trying to make. And it's much easier to work with than a fuzzy end like this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that was our whipping and our fusing demonstration. Again, you should only do this if you have your parents nearby. Let's go ahead and flip back to my other camera here and we go through our last requirement.
Awesome. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so I know when I was a Cub Scout, it was one of the things I looked forward to the most was being able to use my pocket knife. I looked forward to it for a long time. And it was one of my favorite things when I joined Cub Scouting. So being able to finally learn how to use it properly was a big highlight of my Cub Scouting career. All right, so this first part is, this should be something that if you're a Bear Scout, you probably learned last year, or maybe a couple years ago for your Aero Light Scouts. But you need to prove that you've remembered this knowledge about how to use a pocket knife safely. So Brittany, are you going to walk us through some of those pocket knife safety rules?
I sure am. So the very first thing we should know is a knife is not a toy, it is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So we should only use it for what it's supposed to be used for. And the next one is know how to sharpen a knife. A sharp knife is safer because it is less likely to slip and cut you. That's interesting. You think that if it was sharper, it'd be more like likely to hurt.
Yeah, more dangerous. But
Like-
yeah, they're right. If you have a sharp knife, it's going to cut exactly what you want. If you have a dull knife, it might slip and go somewhere where you don't intend to.
Makes sense because it won't go through as easily. Makes a lot of sense.
If you'd like to see a knife sharpening demonstration of some of our scouting at home activities, just put a comment in the box and maybe that's something that we can show you guys sometime.
Awesome. Next one is you're supposed to keep the blade clean. Why is that, Jarrod? Why do you think we should keep it clean?
Well, it's a tool. Remember, it's something that we're going to use when we need to, and you don't want it to be dirty or dull or anything when we need to use it. So by always making sure that we've cleaned our knife after each use, we know that it's ready for that next time that we need to pull it out and use it. So we're not going to leave it in the dirt. We're not going to use it to cut something in the kitchen and then just leave it all sticky. Again, a knife is safest when it's sharp, and safest when you can see the edge and know that it's clean and ready to use.
Like you just said, if it's sticky, what could happen if you accidentally use it to open a popsicle or something like that? It could
Yeah, exactly.
stick and then not go where you want it to go. The next one is never carry an open pocket knife. I've seen a few people forget and start walking. Do you have any reason you would think that you shouldn't walk around with an open carrying your knife?
No, exactly. I mean, if you have a knife that's open and you're using it while you're walking around and you trip and you fall, that's very dangerous. You could hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. So you only use it when you have good control over it and you're stationary.
Yeah, I forget that sometimes, and I got to remember safety first.
Safety first.
Next, when you are not using your knife, you should always close it and put it away. And don't put it on the table. Don't forget about it. Somebody could pick it up. If it's not put away, somebody could grab the wrong end and hurt themselves.
So you can see I've got my knife closed here. It's folded in half, and that's the way it stays in my pocket unless I need to use it, and that's when I open it. And then it's got actually a lock to keep it open. So again, I'm not slipping with it.
Which goes with the next one. Keep your knife dry.
Mm-hmm.
So you aren't slipping in your hands and dropping it and accidentally going somewhere you don't want it to go.
Exactly.
And the next one is when you are using the cutting blade, do not try to make big shavings or chips. Easy does it. So the bigger you go, the more opportunity to not go where you want it to go.
Yep. Smaller shavings are better, and you have a little bit more control on how much wood that you're paring away. If you're making something, trying to carve something intricate, you can just make really small little shavings.
Mm-hmm. And the last one's a big one. And when I'm at camp and with people, you always hear people talking about this one. Make a safety circle before you pick it up to use it. What do you have to do, Jarrod?
Well, if I'm going to make my safety circle, you can see my knife is still closed. And I'm going to hold it out at arm's length from myself. I'm just going to kind of make a circle around myself. And I'm being safe because the knife is closed. And I know that there's nobody within an arm's length of myself. And I'm going to announce to them that, hey, I'm going to open up my knife. I'm going to do some whittling now. And I don't want anybody to come into my safety circle where if they trip or something, they might get hurt.
So you should do it with the blade closed, though. You wouldn't.
Exactly.
You never want to make it with your blade open.
Right. So then once I've made my safety circle, then I can carefully open my knife and start to use it. But I don't have anything to whittle right now, so I'm going to close it back up.
Yes, always safety first. And now, Jarrod, can you help us with the pocket knife pledge?
Yep. So we've gone through our safety rules. I'm going to show our pocket knife pledge here on the screen. And if you want to do a repeat after me pocket knife pledge, Brittany.
Sure.
Our first one is, I will treat my pocket knife with the respect due of a useful but dangerous tool.
I will treat my pocket knife with the respect due a useful but dangerous tool.
Second, I will always close my pocket knife and put it away when not in use.
Number 2, I will always close my pocket knife and put it away when not in use.
Number 3, I will not use my pocket knife when it might injure someone near me. Safety circle.
Yes, I will not use my pocket knife when it might injure someone near me.
Number 4, I would promise never to throw my pocket knife for any reason.
I will promise never to throw my pocket knife for any reason.
And finally, I will use my pocket knife in a safe manner at all times.
I will use my pocket knife in a safe manner at all times.
You might think that these are pretty obvious rules, and once you've learned it the first time, you'll never need to think about it again. But I can tell you, I kept my whittling chip in my wallet until I lost that wallet. It was in my wallet for years. So I always remembered to keep myself safe when I'm using my pocket knife, which is, as it says, a very useful but dangerous tool. Well, I think that finishes up all of our requirements today, Brittany.
It sure does. I've learned a lot and had a lot of refreshers.
Absolutely. So just as a quick refresher, we started today talking about the first class badge and its meanings, whether it's the 3 points of the fleur-de-lis, the eagle and the shield, the scroll at the bottom, the 2 stars, how all those relate to different meanings in scouting. We reviewed the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, the motto, and the slogan, as well as the Pledge of Allegiance, and told what those mean to us. We talked about some Scout spirit and the ways that we have shown our Scout spirit recently and how we can continue to show Scout spirit in our everyday lives, whether we're in uniform or out of uniform. We talked about the Scout sign, the Scout salute, and the handshake with our left hand, and why we use those, when we use them, and how to do them. Remind you that you'll need to meet with a local troop and how to find those troops that are near you to go to one of their meetings, practice the patrol method, and participate in one of their activities. You can also find Scouts BSA activities to participate alongside via the calendar on our website. And then we finished up with some review of some skills that we've learned as a Cub Scout, including the square knot, the 2 half hitches, the taut line hitch. We whipped the end of a rope, we fused the end of a rope, and then we reminded ourselves of our pocket knife safety. So what you'll need to do, our Cub Scouts at home, our Webelos, is just go through these requirements with your den leader, your parent. Hopefully you are explaining to them what these things mean to you and demonstrating these proper techniques for the different skills that we've taught. And as soon as you do those, you can relay that to your den leader and check off those requirements at your next Scout meeting. If I could just talk a little bit about some upcoming things that are happening with our Scouting at Home initiative. We have an exciting weekend planned for everybody. Tomorrow we have a Scout song session with Cub Scout Coker. So if you have some favorite Scout songs, you can sing along with one of our camp staff members. He's going to be on live at 4:30 tomorrow. And then this weekend we have not only a campfire with Scout songs and skits provided by all of our Scouts from around the council. You can submit those videos of you doing your favorite skit and song on our website. And then we'll put them together and stream it live on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we've got the Scout Strong 5K. And what is the Scout Strong 5K, Brittany?
It's an opportunity for everybody to donate for a great cause. And then when you guys start the race, you can post a picture of yourself and then have some fun, do your race. Then at the end, post your time and a fun finish line picture so everybody can see what a great time you had.
Absolutely. Remember, this is a social distancing 5K. So we're not meeting up anywhere. This is just to be done on your own in your neighborhood, staying at least 6 feet away from other people in your neighborhood. But we'd love to see those pictures of you guys staying active and being part of this this opportunity. So any funds that are raised through joining our 5K are going to be donated to purchase food for emergency care workers to help both them and our food industry, which are facing some tough times now through this COVID-19 phase. And we also recently just released or announced that we'll be doing a camper all from home in April. So I don't have the date in front of me right now, but if you go onto our website, you'll be able to see registration for the camper all. It's just going to be a live stream from your homes. Show us your favorite campsite that you've made inside or outside or in your hammock. There'll be activities streamed all throughout the day from not just our council, but in fact, I think we're at to 11 different councils that are participating and counting. You can order a patch to be a part of it, or you can just participate from your home. So again, check out our website to see that camper all, which is going to be super exciting and something really cool that we can do to stay connected while we're here at home and keep the camping of scouting alive. I'm pretty excited about it. You, Brittany?
I am so excited. It's about a month from now. I think it's on April 25th. So we got a little bit of time to get excited. And if anybody wants to be involved, you can sign up, and there's a space to put if you're interested in doing something, helping out with the awesome camper all.
Awesome. Well, keep those things in mind and make sure you keep visiting lecbsa.org/@home. It's right there on our homepage for all kinds of activities you can continue to do in your homes, and for the information about our 5K, the camper all, and our campfire this weekend. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow or later this weekend, and hope everybody's staying safe. Thanks for hanging out with me, Brittany.
Bye, thank you.